Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating biblical story that has some surprising modern-day relevance. But before we get into that, let me share a couple of recent stories that might sound familiar. First up, we have Sarah, a 32-year-old marketing executive. She started a new job and quickly hit it off with her charming boss, Mike. They worked late nights together, shared inside jokes, and soon found themselves texting outside of work hours. Sarah was married, but she felt a spark with Mike that she hadn't experienced in years. One night, after a few drinks at a work event, they almost kissed. Sarah pulled away at the last second, realizing she was on dangerous ground. Our second story involves Tom, a 45-year-old teacher. He reconnected with an old college flame on social media. What started as innocent catching up soon turned into flirty messages and reminiscing about the past. Tom's wife had no idea, and he justified it to himself as harmless fun. But deep down, he knew he was playing with fire. Both Sarah and Tom were treading in murky ethical waters. They hadn't physically cheated, but they were definitely on that path. Now let's rewind a few thousand years to a similar situation that played out in the Bible. Abraham, Sarah, and a king named Abimelech. This story takes place in Genesis 20, and it's a doozy. Abraham and his wife Sarah were traveling through Gerar, and Abraham was worried. You see, Sarah was apparently drop-dead gorgeous, even in her 90s. Talk about aging goals. Abraham feared that the men of Gerar would kill him to get to her, so he came up with a plan. He told everyone Sarah was his sister. Now, this wasn't a total lie. According to Genesis 20:12, Sarah was actually Abraham's half-sister, but it was definitely a lie by omission, leaving out the crucial detail that she was also his wife. King Abimelech, not knowing Sarah was married, decided he wanted to add her to his harem. But before anything could happen, God stepped in. He appeared to Abimelech in a dream and basically said, "Whoa there, buddy. That woman is married. Touch her, and you're a dead man." Abimelech, understandably freaked out, protested his innocence. He said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Didn't Abraham tell me she was his sister? I haven't touched her." God acknowledged Abimelech's innocence, but warned him to return Sarah to Abraham immediately. The next morning, Abimelech confronted Abraham, asking why he'd put them in this dangerous situation. Now, here's where things get really interesting. God didn't just stop at warning Abimelech in a dream. He took some pretty drastic action to protect Sarah and punish Abimelech's household. Genesis chapter 20, 17-18 tells us, "Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, and also healed his wife and female slaves, so that they bore children. For the Lord had closed all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife." Whoa, talk about divine intervention. Can you imagine the panic and confusion they must have felt? This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was a serious consequence that affected not just Abimelech, but everyone associated with him. This part of the story shows us a different side of God's character. We often talk about God's love and mercy, which are absolutely central to who he is. But here we see God's protective nature and his willingness to bring consequences when his people are threatened. It's like when a mama bear protects her cubs. You don't want to mess with that. God saw Sarah, his chosen one, in a vulnerable position, and he wasn't about to let it slide. This serves as a powerful reminder that God takes the protection of his people seriously. Now you might be thinking, isn't that a bit harsh? Abimelech didn't even know Sarah was married, and you'd have a point. But remember, God also protected Abimelech by warning him before anything happened. This shows us that God's vengeance isn't about blind punishment. It's about protecting his people and upholding his standards of righteousness. So what can we learn from this ancient soap opera? Quite a lot, actually. First, let's talk about the power of honesty. Abraham's deception, even if partially true, led to a messy situation that could have ended badly. In our modern world, where we often present curated versions of ourselves online or in professional settings, This story reminds us of the importance of authenticity and transparency. Secondly, we see God's protection of marriage. Even though Abimelech was innocent, God intervened to prevent him from unknowingly committing adultery. This underscores the sanctity of marriage in God's eyes and serves as a warning against treating it lightly. Thirdly, there's a lesson here about taking responsibility for our actions. Abraham tried to justify his deception, but ultimately he had to face the consequences of his choices. In our own lives, it's easy to rationalize questionable behavior, but this story encourages us to own up to our mistakes and make things right. Lastly, we see that our actions can have far-reaching consequences, even affecting those around us. Abimelech's entire household suffered because of his decision to take Sarah. It's a call for us to consider how our choices impact not just ourselves, but our communities. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but I'm not exactly worried about kings trying to add me to their harems. Fair point. But the principles here are surprisingly relevant. Think about Sarah from our first example. Her growing emotional intimacy with her boss was a form of deception against her husband, much like Abraham's half-truth. And Tom's secret online flirtation? That's treading into Abimelech territory. He might think he's innocent, but he's playing a dangerous game. In our hyper-connected world, it's easier than ever to form inappropriate attachments or blur the lines of fidelity. We might not be lying about our marital status to kings, but we might be hiding notifications on our phones or deleting chat histories. But there's hope here too. Notice that when Abraham prayed, God healed Abimelech and his household. This shows us that while God will protect his people and uphold righteousness, he's also quick to forgive and restore when we turn back to him. Interestingly, some extra-biblical sources add more color to this story. The Genesis Apocryphon, one of the Dead Sea Scrolls, elaborates on Sarah's beauty, saying she was so stunning that all who saw her were smitten. While we should take non-canonical sources with a grain of salt, it does highlight how Sarah's beauty was seen as extraordinary, even in ancient times. So what's the takeaway here? Whether you're married or single, this story encourages us to value integrity in our relationships. It reminds us that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for others around us. And it shows us that God cares deeply about the sanctity of marriage and the protection of his people. Next time you're tempted to blur the lines in a relationship or hide something from your partner, remember old Abraham and his sister wife, Sarah. It might just save you from a royal mess. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient wisdom and modern application, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, have you ever been in a situation where honesty was the best policy, even when it was difficult? Share your stories below. Until next time, stay blessed and keep it real.